12 o'clock, 3-man front on this Thursday. Landrum, Conrad, Molly, and Pat. Already a busy show. Normal busy Thursday with Rodney Orr of Tighter Insider in the 11 o'clock hour. Just heard from Rob Pate of Auburn. All of that found at the podcast at jocksfm.com. Rob Pate not too optimistic, nor should he be, given what he's seen from this Auburn team. And Conrad, no surprise, he thought that Hugh Freeze might not make it to the game this weekend. But by everything that we have been told, I have been told, I do not expect, unless there's a downturn in Hugh Freeze's health or something goes drastically wrong, that this game and a loss in Fayetteville would mean that he is told he cannot complete the rest of the season. And if you think about it, there would be several factors and reasons why you'd probably let him coach through the end of the season. And just hypothetically, Conrad, doesn't mean that things aren't going on behind the scenes.
No, it does not, but there is also a reality that I know no one wants to entertain right now, but there is a world out there where Auburn finishes the season 8-4, and we're having a different conversation. Now, do we think that's going to happen? No, we don't. And we talked about it last hour like you discussed, and that's barring an extreme circumstance, it seems like Hugh Freeze is going to be able to finish out the season there at Auburn. And I know some people are wondering why that may be, but I mean, at this point, right, if technically, you know, and Hugh Freeze's comments, right, you're so close against these top-ranked teams. Well, now you're going and playing an Arkansas team that hasn't won an SEC game. They fired their coach this year. You should be able to win this one. So the fact that you're going into it and Auburn fans are not optimistic, I think we know what the tune will be on Monday if Auburn loses another game and Hugh Freeze is still employed. It's a broken record at this point.
Even with the unlikely, even in the unlikely event that they finish 8-4, I don't know if I'm convinced that Hugh Freeze is back next year anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at that point, right, you would have a win over Vanderbilt, which would look really good. You'd have a win over Alabama in the Iron Bowl, which would look really good. But, yeah, again, I think a lot of it would also go into, and we have a lot of time to talk about this. Maybe not now's not the time, but I think there are a lot of legitimate questions about player retention and recruiting and what would your roster even look like next year if you do go 8-4. Are those guys all bought in now, or do you still have some people that are, well, I don't feel like I'm, you know, showcasing my skills the best way for an NFL future at Auburn? And
I'm not his doctor. I'm not, but also just think about Hugh Freeze from a health standpoint.
Fair.
And what he's battling, what he's doing right now. It looks uncomfortable. It can't be a whole lot of fun. And I wonder if he's starting to think at this stage in his life, you know what, gave it another go, went to Auburn, did a good job of getting that thing at least back on solid foundation. As far as roster and culture, haven't had any huge scandals, right, that I can think of since he's been there. But you got to win football games. I just wonder if Hugh Freeze maybe, hey, concentrate on the health and then see if you're still hungry to go and tackle another head coaching job. That's just a theory.
No, and I could see something like that happening. And you know, let's be honest with Hugh Freeze, right? What has been the biggest criticism, and it's that it feels like he is running an offense that is stuck in about 12 years ago college football, right? So, look, I know he was at Liberty for a while, had a lot of success there. And maybe it's not the worst thing in the world for a guy like Hugh Freeze to say, hey, I'm going to take some time, step away, focus on getting myself healthy, and maybe find some ways to evolve, because that's what we've seen coaches at the top of their game be able to do over time, is evolve. And Hugh Freeze right now, he needs to do that. And I don't think that you're going to find that if you're employed. You probably need to step away a little bit to be able to do that, or go hire somebody to call the offense.
And think about what you've witnessed as an Auburn fan, and there's other fan bases too, but we're talking about Vanderbilt being on the verge of a college football playoff. It still doesn't feel right to say. But that's a Vanderbilt team right now, just given the rest of their schedule. Auburn is one of those games that I give them more than a fighting chance to punch a ticket to the college football playoff.
Absolutely. Especially, I mean, if they get past Missouri this weekend, it's going to be looking really good.
You still got Texas.
Still got Texas.
Still got Auburn.
I think Vanderbilt's better than Texas right now. They're better than Auburn.
Tennessee at the end of the year.
I brought it up earlier in the week. That very well could be a winner of Vanderbilt, Tennessee at the end of the year. Winner goes to the playoff. Crazy to think
Let's
about.
play it out this way. They lose one more game, and let's say it's to, I actually think they're going to beat Missouri this weekend. Let's say they lose to Texas. It's another touchdown game on the road. They win out the rest of their games.
They're in.
10-2 Vanderbilt, I think they're in.
Absolutely. You have to be.
And then the other one, if you watch that game, Alabama with a late touchdown, but that was a good game. That was a compelling game. You went to Bryant-Denny, gave them as much as you had in the tank that day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I, again, on the other side of it, right, if Missouri gets the win this weekend, maybe we're talking about Missouri in that Vanderbilt spot of that's a team they could go the rest of the way. I could see them only losing one game if they get past Vanderbilt, and then they're in the playoffs. So there's a lot on the line. But, yeah, it doesn't make you feel better if you're an Auburn fan. Doesn't make you feel better if you're a Florida fan to think about the fact that, you might see Vanderbilt in the college football playoff, which is something that neither of those programs have managed to accomplish so far.
Think about the matchups when it comes to the college football playoff, that some of the pivotal matchups we get this weekend. Ole Miss team that's got one loss, they're going to Norman. Oklahoma with the one loss. Oklahoma loses that game. They still got to go to Bryant-Denny. A 3-loss Oklahoma, you're probably not getting in the college football playoff.
No, I don't think so at this point. There's a few games this week that you look at. I mean, you look at if Texas A&M beats LSU, they're done for in the playoff hunt. There's a few games this week that it will start to create some separation, not only in the SEC, but in the college football playoff race as well. It's a big weekend.
It's huge. Oklahoma still got their schedule. There's no relief.
No, and you look at the back half of their schedule, and I don't think it'll happen, but there's a world where Oklahoma doesn't win another game. And it's not because they're bad necessarily. It's just they're playing really tough teams.
If Oklahoma somehow found a way to go 7-5 after the start that they had,
I think Venables is gone.
Yeah, Venables will be gone. Then we're talking about who replaces Venables. Be interesting.
Brian Kelly.
Jeff Lebby.
Yeah. I mean,
you laugh, but.
No, I know. I think that's a real conversation you would have.
Speaking of LSU.
Shane Beamer leaves, goes back where he coached once as an assistant. No.
Mark Stoops. Keep it in the family.
So LSU is one of those teams in the offseason, they went all in on the transfer portal, spent a lot of money, got a lot of mercenaries. I saw this stat, man, I was blown away. So if you look at the top 7 portal teams, top 7, according to On3, when the season began, it was Texas Tech. We know how much money the billionaire oil man spent. LSU, about $18 to $20 million. Ole Miss, Oregon, Miami, Mizzou, and Auburn. According to On3, those were your 7 schools that spent the most amount of money this offseason in the transfer portal. Over the last month, those 7 teams have gone 10 and 11 on the field. Under 500 for the 7 biggest payrolls out of the transfer portal.
Chemistry is a real thing.
And I saw an addition to that stat where if you looked at like their first 4 or 5 games, they had an incredible record. All these teams were on fire to start the season.
Because they're all playing pansies.
Yep, and now they have all crumbled. Yep.
10 and 11. So what does your money get you? It hasn't gotten Auburn a win yet in the Southeastern Conference.
Mm-mm.
You got Brian Kelly now, probably going to have to fire his whole entire staff so that he can come back. Like you said, Landrum, I mean, we used to talk about it with junior college guys. I'll never forget when Tommy Tuberville used to be asked this question all the time about junior college guys. And it's like, man, you just can't like plop somebody in the locker room and expect him to be everybody's favorite.
Unless his name is Trinidad Chambliss.
Man, that didn't get you a win in between the hedges.
Fair point.
No, and this is the point in the year, too, where a lot of those guys, if they still have more eligibility, you don't have to worry about them giving effort, but a lot of those guys, they're looking at the next place they're going to land. They've already been contacted by several other programs, and now it's just a dollar amount. And either they're doing it themselves or they're having their representation that's doing it. It's a new day, and these are things that you used to not really think about. But you think about them now. Now, the buy-in going to be there for a high-profile guy? Yeah, most likely, because he wants that next check, whether it's staying where he is and getting a new deal at school X or taking his talent somewhere else.
Now, I know we joke about this in the future. Would there be a possibility of a mid-season acquisition, or if somebody transfers, back and forth, whatever?
Like a trade deadline?
Yeah. I do not. I should know this because I had a son graduate college here a year ago, but he never left the school that he first attended as a freshman, went all 4 years. But can you, like, for instance, in mid-semester, I know you can withdraw whenever you want to, but can you immediately, like maybe even if it's an online course, can you go immediately and enroll in another school?
How good are you at the sport you play?
Well, that's touche. That's
yeah.
But no, I don't think for the average student.
For the average Joe, you can't do it. You'd have to wait to the next semester or a mini term or whatever.
Because you'd have to go through registration for classes and all of those things, correct?
Yeah, maybe graduate programs are different.
Yeah, I could see that. Because my thinking is that ultimately you could have a mid-season acquisition period where if somebody says, you know what, you're not playing me, I'm going to go in the transfer portal. I've only played 2 games and 20 snaps. I want to go elsewhere and play. And you withdraw from this school and then you apply and get into the other school and then you can play immediately for that school. I know it's crazy, but I don't think it's that far-fetched based on where we are in the current landscape of college football.
I think if we do get to the point where, the athletic department or even the football programs are separate from the universities, I think that's one of the first things that happens.
But you know what's sad about all of this? I'm just thinking about how it would apply to some teams right now. And Auburn is the easy target with their offense. I don't know if there is one player, if you could take one player, that would make that big of a difference based on what they're running. Now, a few more passes that are hit that maybe Jackson Arnold's missed.
Well, and what about the schools that find the diamond? UAB last week, right? You got a new quarterback in there, looks really good. Iverson Hooks absolutely lights it up. You don't think there'd be people the next day, hey, yeah, you want to come play in the SEC? Sure, here's the smaller schools too.
There's no doubt.
We've really got some momentum going here, and then halfway through the season, boom, it's done because this quarterback that nobody had ever heard of is lighting the world on fire. Now he's gone.
Well, especially a guy like Ryder Burton you're talking about, started his career at BYU, then went to West Virginia. So he's definitely on everybody's map. But to your point, like an Iverson Hooks, you've got 2 of UAB's leading playmakers. They were the big playmakers on offense last year, really 3. One transferred running back. He went to Indiana. You've got one that's on Willie Fritz and Houston's roster. One that's playing for Arkansas. You had 2 players on defense last year that played at UAB and they transferred to Memphis, who UAB was playing against. So it's everybody. And it's not just the bigger schools, the Power 4 programs. It's everybody. It's other teams from your conference that maybe have a bigger NIL budget, and they are scouting your guys. Because I've heard it from an assistant coach. Well, that was a great catch. Well, he'll be getting a phone call next week from them. Those are legitimate conversations that are happening on college sidelines.
That's amazing. We will take your phone calls at 1-800-239-WJOX. Read your text at 205-834-9450. Bottom of the hour, we'll talk to Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio in Memphis and the Ole Miss Radio Network. This is 3 Man Front on Jocks.